queries or anything running slowly. If the reports are running slowly or the ETL process is running slowly, mostly you start with if actually if it's SQL performance tuning question, they may ask if how you gonna tune your queries. They may, even if they don't ask, or they may expect you to mention about these tools. Like if you go to the tools there,
Profiler.
SQL Server Profiler, can you open that? Here, when you connect, yes, you can. If you go to the use template, open the use template on the bottom. No.
Oh, this one.
Right there in the middle. Yeah. Here, you see tuning template.
Bottom.
Yeah, tuning template. And then if you run that, here it will show you all the queries that are being executed against that server or specific database. And then you can save that this template. You can save it as a trace file. If you go to the file, I think it should be there. File, go to the save as.
Trace file.
Trace file, yeah. You can save it on the desktop as a give any name like trace. Yes. You see, all the operations being executed against that server's database are being traced here.
Will it just like save until the moment we save, or it still keep putting right now? What is it doing?
No, until you save.
Until
if you close it, and then this is where you can also see. Can you do that again? Close it. Open the tools. Go to SQL Server Profile. Another thing I forgot to mention. Go to the tuning. Yes, run. You see database name there is, and the login name who is doing that, and there is duration. If you look at duration, you can see there whichever is taking the longest time. That one you can save, and then close it. I mean close everything right there. And then you can open the tools. Database, you see engine tuning advisor. This way is kind of oldest but not effective way. It's not kind of very efficient to use this one. Now you connect to that and you can open that trace file. New session, and then actually tuning option. Can you go? No. Go back to general. Here workload. You see file. Choose. Look for that. Find it. Yes. And then there pre-workload. No. Yes, should be good. It's all opening that one. Can you close it back? Here, and then can you go to the top? I used to the tuning options. And go back to general. And if you can you right click that first thing on the left?
This one?
Yeah. Start analyzing. That's what I was looking for. I used to do it in older versions. And then do we have two sessions open there? Can you go to the first one? Right click that again. Start analyzing.
That's this one.
Okay. It's asking select. No, not the tables. Wait, they changed it. Tuning options. Can you let me see?
Can maybe YouTube it. So,
I think we need to pick something.
No, select database to tune for data. We didn't choose here. In the second one we chose. Still trace file, okay. And then that's the master. At least whichever database
Master.
was not the
go to the
report server. I think that trace file was recording. Let's choose all. Let's try, okay. Here we go. This like when you open that, you start analysis and it will offer you what to do there. And most of the time it doesn't offer you how to change the query. It will only offer you most of the time what to create where, which table is missing, what kind of index. That's what it tells you. Here, for example, you see, create new index. This is the recommendation. You see, create where, what kind of index. That's it. You see, create new index, item ID, ascending path on these columns. That on this table, on these columns. That's it. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one you don't use as most of the time for performance tuning because, as I mentioned, it's very old.
We use it for interview.
But during the interview, you may tell them like that's what you used to do, but now you are really good at what? Execution plans, operators reading, or you are familiar with all the operators in execution plan. You can easily see the bottlenecks there, what's causing the main issue. Can you do you have any sample codes, queries? Can you open them?
That's all we
This one.
Yeah, if you include the actual execution plan, execute the any database
In any.
because does it not start with a create?
Near the keyword.
No, that's not clear.
It was
Why do we
create.
have that? Can you
Yeah, that's
comment
for
that this too? You don't need that. Go to the bottom. You see we have create table. Can you remove whatever on the top of the above this create statement?
Everything.
comment city.
Yeah. Remove. Yeah. Create that table actually. No, execute it here.
Actual
Create table, yes, and then insert values. There is already. No, don't do that.
Because I think
Because everywhere you need, or your place everything.
there's already.
Just select star from the table. Even nearest.
Okay, just use this CT on the bottom. Is it working? Check it if it's working. Did you select everything?
Media.
Okay, it's working, yes? Now comment out that create and insert part, you don't need that. Execute now everything. Definition, which one it's, I think that's different here. Can you go to the, oh, we have so
take this.
Just
CT, you open new query. and
Take
then-
this create part and copy just one CT query from the
Just copy that one.
yeah.
To
Or
the-
use new database. Create new data. Put on the top new database. Now same window you can use. Go back to same window. Yeah, right there on the top. No. Or select different databases where you don't have the comment, uncomment list. Execute it.
She has employee new one. Take in.
And yes, if you go to the execution plan, you see, can it pull it up? That insert, it's table insert. That's fine. We cannot do too much about that part. For example, second one was filter. Yes, select segment, sort. Okay, for example, you, as I mentioned, you look at the execution plan, and what you need to do is first check what's causing, what's the main reason of the performance slow down. Here, sort, the number one enemy of the like SQL queries is the sort operation. If you don't need it, don't do it. Just get rid of it. Or if you have multiple sort operations, but you just need the one at the outer, like final level, you wanna do the sorting. So get rid of all whatever you have in inner levels. So you don't need them. Or try to,
Table scan.
for example, you using select from one table where name equals to something, and then union all select same table where name equals to something else, and for each of them you're doing like sorting or something like that, or you using different temp tables to hold the values for each person. Then in that situation you better do what? In your workflows, put that logic with or, like select start from that table where name equals to something or something, or you can put where name in this and this in bracket, for example. This is the way through rewriting the badly written, like wordy or very performance issue causing queries. You can rewrite them. That's the main thing that can improve the performance substantially. For example, when you select, don't use select star. Never use only those the columns that you want. And in a workflows, if you want, for example, there's like income column or amount column. You want to say the amount of square of that amount is higher than something. That's wrong. You don't use that square on that left side of the comparison. Use it, take it to the right side. How? You say where amount column is higher than or equal to whatever value you put there initially, square root of it. You got it?
Oh.
So square root. Why? Because if you have index, or which is the highest probable case that you have index on this amount column or income column, it's not gonna work if you use that square, or if you use like 2 multiplied by amount is higher than 100. Do it like amount column higher than 100 divided by 2, something like that, or higher than 50, or whatever the computing calculation is applied to the left side of the comparison. Okay, another thing is don't use month, year functions on a date column. For example, don't never say like where if you wanna say, if they tell you, okay, there's like employee table and there's hire date, and can you go to the AdventureWorks so you can see too? Of AdventureWorks. and their tables. Let's see HR, human resource, employee. Right click that. Select top 1000. Yeah. Remove that top 1000. Is there hire date on the top? In the middle, the column.
Yeah.
Copy that column. Go to the work, writer workflows. If they tell you, can you go to the values to the hire date? What years of data are there? We have 2002, 1. Okay, let's make it higher than 2005. You put there. If I tell you, get me the people who were hired after 2003, how you gonna do that? This is the query, yes?
Higher date more than 01 or 1 2000.
Yes. This is the way you do me. If I tell you the year is high, don't do it. If you wanna, if there is an index on that column, it's not gonna work. So it's always better to write it with like 2003 or 1 or 1 or 1 higher than, or you can say if it's starting from 2003, then you may put the last day of 2002, like 12/31, something like that. Do it like that, or don't use year or month equal to. If I tell you get me the employee who were hired only second month of 2005, don't do it like where year function equals to 2003 and month function hire date equals to second month, for example. Don't do it. Do it
with days.
Yes, between, or actually between is gonna work slower than with the symbols operators, like comparative operators, higher, less, or equal, like higher equal, less equal. You always use that, like where if I tell you only get me the employee who were hired in 2003, you need to do, if you do year hire date equals to 2003, it's slower, it's gonna kill the performance, then it's gonna give worse performance than writing it where higher date higher
Then
or
last
equal
day of
to, or just higher to last day of the 2002 and less than the first day of the 2004.
Yes.
So that's how you need to write another thing. And when you use a like statement, you remember how we use that like where first name, for example, here, like in single quotes, we're gonna use what? Percentage sign, yes. Don't use, if you don't need, the leading percentage sign. Why? Because it will also interrupt the job of the index if there is an index on that column. So put it as a like following percentage. That's another thing, and also this whatever I'm just mentioning is all related to badly written queries approach. Like you can rewrite your queries, your codes, so they can give way better performance than they are doing right now. The ways are this, and then the addition is to there. If you see any cursor or cursor requiring operation, never use them. Just replace them with more efficient methods like joins,
yes.
or subqueries also do, if you correctly use them, better than the cursors or while loop. While cursor, both of them are cursor requiring, row by row operation requiring codes or the statements that SQL has. You can easily replace them with window functions combination with the CTE or table variables, or joins. Joins are even better than the subqueries. Or if you cannot do use joins, use subqueries. But window functions and CTE, only if you see that you cannot do it with a join, if it's gonna cause you some issue with a join, then use window functions. They are very capable. They are very powerful. You just need to correctly apply them, and they're gonna do everything and way faster than
Cursor.
the cursors or while loop. And also, what else about badly written queries?
The
Don't if you have a choice between count and exists, use exists. Yes, because count is gonna give slower performance than exists. And also, what else?
nested loop, hash, these kind of things.
Those stuff, they are not the causers of issue. They're gonna show you if when you open the execution plan, you can see 3 types of physical joins. You remember?
Mhm.
They can tell you the result of the bad queries. So they are kind of results. They are not the
The causes.
causers of the
Okay.
issue. Causers of the issue, your sort operations, these functions when you use after workloads, if you don't use like higher less operators, that's when they may come up. Like not only physical joins, but well, this execution plan is a huge topic. But during the interview, you may tell them, okay, the first way that I do is check the badly written queries. If I see any select star or the unnecessary sort by, if I see there any like filtering column with the use of the functions, I will try to take those functions behind the operators, like after the the equal or less or
Comparison signs.
greater signs, and also replace the cursors and like get rid of the get rid of the count if you can easily replace it with exist, stuff like that. And also another thing you can mention about badly written queries, rather than saying not in, you remember we have clause not in.
Mhm.
If ID is not in, select me all the employee where ID is not in, fired employee tables ID, for example. Don't use not in if you know what's in. Use in instead. Like not, don't do like except, say in, like only those. Don't say like except those. You got it? So always use in because it's gonna give way better performance. For example, you just wanna get like 10 people's, 10 employees information from the second or filter out them. You just say where ID in brackets, give their names like one by one, hard coded. They will give way better performance than saying not in. For example, you want to exclude 2 employees from there, don't say not, and you want to only include 10 employees. It's better to say in those 10 employees' names rather than not in 2 employees' names. And another thing that you can mention about the query rewriting on the part is what else? Rewriting. Try not to use functions if you can easily user-defined functions. Because they're gonna kill the performance. Instead, apply the function
procedure.
function logic to the code itself directly there. Got it? Or if you can do their job with the help of system functions, with combination of several system functions, do it right there without hiding that logic with the functions. And what else? That should be enough for just rewriting part. The main part is execution plan part. In execution plan part, there are several I see warning signs that you can see easily when you look at the execution plan. One of them I already said, the sort. Another one is scan, any kind. If it's index, table, all of them are bad. If there is any where clause in your query, then if you create right index, it can be either non-clustered index on a single column or covering index with the combination of multiple columns. change that scan to the seek. You remember index seek.
Mhm.
So that's another thing that you need to do. You need to pay an attention. Another thing is table spool or table spills. They are separate things. Both table spill and spool, they are bad. You need to get rid of them by, you can get rid of them by rewriting your query. So if you see their table spill means there was not like enough information to the SQL optimizer, so it can be ready to meet the inflow of the data. Like you remember I said when you create table variable, I say the SQL optimizer has no statistics on that, and it will expect from the table variable what? Only one row. You remember?
Oh yeah.
I said just one row from table variable. That's why it used what kind of join there? Nest loop join, and it puts that table variable as a outer table in the nest loop join. You remember?
Yeah.
We
The
had nest
smaller
loop.
one.
The smaller one is gonna be outer, and the lot bigger one is gonna be inner in a nest loop join. And the table variable is always like it's outer table because it has no statistics. That in that situation, it expects the SQL optimizer prepares a place that can be enough for one row, or if there is like he may consider like okay if it's not one, still it's gonna be few like 10 or 20. But in table, if I mean table variable, if you load like 1 million row and you using it in a join later in your code, then it's making this small seg, this small seg, so it can fit like 10 or maximum 20 rows there. Like 1 million row comes, it will say, wait a second, it will fill, and then what? It will spill out of that. So it has to create, it has no choice but to create temporary tables, working tables, so they can temporarily hold them. And the time to create them, read them one by one is gonna like kill the performance. That's why if you see any spills, you can see it will be with a warning sign there, exclamation mark. That's, yeah. If you see them, that's what you need to fix. You need to find what's causing it and then fix it correctly. Another thing that
To work around on it? Work around this?
like work around your query, rewrite your query. Don't use table variable if you insert in relinquish table. That might be the reason it's causing the spills. That's what the cause usually. Use temp table there because it has statistics on its index column. Or when you use it on a joining column, it will get automatic statistics created for that column. Okay, and what else? Okay, there are like 72 operators in the execution plan. Only some of them are bad signs. Like parallelism is also bad, but it's not the cause of the issue. It's the kind of result of the issues. That can be issue too. And also another thing that you need to see there is the seek array. Seek array, I mean the bigger.
Oh, the thicker one.
The larger the array,
Yes,
that's
yes.
where the huge data is coming from. And then next stage, it will see smaller arrays. It will be difficult for them to have that data through. So that's where you need to check the seek arrays, like large, bigger arrays. And then the array size differs based
Yeah,
on
it's gonna
the
be
data
thicker, yes.
size it's passing.
Yeah.
It's like pushing through itself. So you need to check you need to look at them also, see what's causing it, and then you can most of the time rewrite your query actually. And another stuff is you not only the execution itself by itself might not be enough for you. Then you gotta use what set statistics IO. So you can see the statistics on that operation, for example. What it's gonna give us, IO, what kind of scan, what kind of reads, logical reads, you remember? IO on execute that. Execute the query. Statistics. IO separate, I think. Statistics, IO, separate. Let's go to the message. You see? Scan counts, logical reads, physical. You remember when we learned the index? We looked at this.
The index of
logical
logic read
read.
should be less.
Logical reads is one of the from here one of the most important thing is logical reads. That's what you need to decrease. Okay, and test statistic profile on. Can you set that? Execute it. What it's gonna give us? Go to the message.
Scan count, logical read.
And go to the bottom.
No, it's right here.
Yeah, right there. I mean, sorry. Here it will show you one by one what's being executed, how it's being executed. So you can see there. Can you go a little back? You see estimated rows, which operation is working on how many rows there, like average row size. By looking at this, you can do your calculations and like rearrange the query with proper syntax and improve the plan. Or set statistics time on. Execute that, go to the message. You see, it will show you how many CPU time it's taking. You see, CPU processing unit, like processor time it's taking, each of them is taking. How long it passed. Here it might be taking like slower, but in CPU part, like as a resource, it might be consuming more like resource there. And
Parameter sniffing.
Parameter sniffing. Okay, that's another thing. They may ask you what's parameter sniffing. Parameter sniffing is it exists with a stored procedure. For example, you remember when we learned the stored procedure, we said it will reuse its execution plan. You remember?
Yeah, it's gonna catch it.
Yeah, it will cache it, and next time, even if you change the parameter value, like you said, stored procedure get employee info, and you passing what employee ID as a parameter. It gives you everything after like joining 100 tables. It gives you like all the information about wherever ID is equal to 100. Employee ID is 100, yes? But if you change it to 100, or 110 or 1000, even where ID is 0, it will still be using whatever first execution plan was used by that stored procedure. So the important thing about parameter sniffing is, for example, you say when select start from one table where ID equals to 100 might use its own execution plan, which gives its optimal execution plan. While select start from that table where ID is equal 0 might have different execution plan, which optimally fits to give the fastest performance. You got it? Okay, let me explain. So, for example, we have employee table. We are selecting start from that employee table where ID equals 100. There is one. It has like several rows about 100 employees. All the rows we're gonna get there, and all the columns information. Yes, and then what's gonna happen behind the scene? Optimizer does what? Checks the statistics, and they use that statistics to do the reading on index 6 if there is any index on that column, ID column. Yes, it uses that, and it takes time to check those statistics. Use that, and if it's covered with a stored procedure, it will save its execution plan that SQL Optimizer came up for the first query execution where ID was 100.
Yes.
It saves in the memory,
Memory,
the store
yes.
procedure. If you put there 0, which doesn't return, if there is not employee where ID is 0
There's
or
no-
-1,
Uh-huh.
and it might be faster for the SQL Optimizer. It might be faster for the SQL Server Optimizer
It's last class.
to execute that query
Without-
without doing index seek but a table scan.
Uh-huh.
You got me?
Yes,
So
yeah.
it might have different execution plan which will fastly execute that where equals 0.
Yes.
Then using the
The
previous
cache.
ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean store procedure always use previous one,
Yeah.
whichever first it was executed.
Uh-huh.
It will go check it if it's there, that which is the case most of the time. If it was not cleaned, as time passed, there is like process which will be like deleting. There is like requirements that will be deleting the execution plans from the execution cache memory. And there's like if it was not used for 50 days or something like that, there's like requirement that
Can we do it manually too?
Yeah.
which one?
Just clean
Cleaning
out.
the cache,
like,
yes.
Yeah,
cache
you,
Yes, yes.
that's very easy. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do it. That's why the performance of the store procedure may not listen to what you are telling to it. So it will be using that
Same
previous
plan.
one's execution plan. It might be correct too. 90% of the table's value, but 10% may not like it. I mean, they may prefer other way to reach that destination faster.
Mhm.
While 90% of them, they may decide that they may think it's the fastest for them. 10% doesn't listen. So this 10%, if they struggle when they are used
By that.
by that
Saved.
saved stored execution plan,
Cache plan.
and if they don't like it, if they suffer from that, that's the scenario called parameter sniffing. You got it? Okay, and in order to get rid of that, it's kind of impossible, but they say we need to execute it like store procedure, we need to add there with recompile. Recompile means every time it will have to recompile, like do everything from the beginning. Doesn't check the cache,
We
save
lose the
the
benefit
execution
then.
plan. If you do that, they say it will regenerate the execution plan for each execution.
Uh-huh.
But bad thing is it takes time to recompile. Like for example,
Oh.
for 90%, as I said, they may like whatever first
Yeah.
executed. But now if you recompile, it
Only
will take
10.
time to recreate for all of them. Even the 90% of them will have to wait till their execution plan is created. You got it? So it's kind of impossible thing. But yeah, if just in case, keep in mind that if they ask you some, maybe 2 times they ask what's parameter sniffing, you need to explain them what's parameter sniffing. And what else? Okay, other stuff is, can you go to the server? Right click the server, yes, properties. Let me see. Can you go to the menu? No. One by one, can you go? Wait to see. This one is like, you can play around with the parallelism also based on how many threads your processor has. This next one is, can you stay on the advanced? Can you take okay, you can play around with the, as a DBA perspective, you can play around with the properties like parallelism or, for example, here cursor threshold, stuff like that. It's like DBA job, but you can mention about them. Like as a DBA, I can also like update the default properties of the SQL Server instance and database that I'm working. For example, if you cancel this one, right click the database, any database properties, and let's say relations, file options, extend properties. Can we go to the extend properties? No, options. Can it wait a sec, options on the bottom. Can you go to the Google, for example? After there's like two properties called update of the statistics, of the statistics SQL Server. Create and update statistics automatically. So you can do it through GUI too, and let me see.
This is for execution class, so they can use the
Yeah, so they can use the latest statistics, the newest. Okay. If you go to the
Top.
bottom, there should be no. Can you go back? Open another one on the bottom. No. It's mentioned about filter statistics. Yeah, that one right there. Auto create statistic option. It's not mentioned. Can you go to can it just enter wherever it says? No, go to the little tab. Update, yeah. Go down. Go away. I won't show you. No, can you go to the YouTube? Just write. Copy this update of the statistics. Paste it there.
Good.
No, that's it. Paste it. Can you open that? So it's a DBA question, but you can also mention about that. Yeah, right there. Where it's opening that? Was I seeing that options or?
This is
Yes,
here in
the
options.
options. We didn't go there. We already opened. Yeah, just read it there. Yeah, after create and after update statistics. So it will automatically create statistics on your joining column and it will update them always. So the query optimizer can use the most fresh, because usually by default your statistics in a table, if there is, gets updated only if there is an insertion, for example, which is like more than 20% or something like that, 20% of the whole table, and then it will update the statistics. Otherwise, it doesn't. So if it has like 10 million row, if there was like 19% of the 10 million row insertion there, it will be huge insertion.
Yeah.
And your SQL optimizer may look at it as there is only 10 million still, but it's way more than 10 million. And it will create this small bucket to receive it. Again, there will be spill. So in order to get rid of those kind of issues, potential issues, you need to set them to true. And also another thing is compatibility level. You see on the top? On the third one. Yeah. You need to choose the latest one here. in order to get the fastest performance in the database. So this is another thing that you can mention. And what else?
If we are working with 2008, we need to set it to 2008.
Yes, and another. No, the latest one you need.
Oh,
to set.
2012.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Let's whichever works and the latest one.
Mhm.
There. For example, if it works with 2012, then choose the 2012.
Okay.
Latest is gonna give the best performance because it's kind of updated version and there they kind of removed some headaches which were existing in the older
Previous.
versions. Yeah. And also another thing is huge topic is the indexing. So properly indexing the tables, columns are gonna give really huge performance boost, like improvement. So first, initially, okay, you need to know the balance of indexing. Over indexing is also very bad. Unused index gonna cause headache rather than giving you benefit. Yes. You need to use index on only those columns which you use often for your filtering purpose. For example, your reports mainly looking at employees ID and the department or ID. Most of the time they look at the ID and the performance, like amount they sold,
Sales.
something like that, for example. Then create them on those columns only. And then, for example, you remember what was the covering index?
Mhm.
What was that?
It's when the columns used in a query are all indexed.
Yes. So you need to, for example, if you have a index on an ID column, but in a select statement you don't have ID, but you put it in a workloads ID column, then it will do what? It will do lookups. You remember? Bookmark lookup, RID lookup. So in order to get rid of those extra bookmarks, which are very costly, okay, another thing for execution plan operator, in order to get rid of those bookmarks, we need to create covering index. So it will convert that one index seek or index CIM bookmark into one single index seek. So it will give way better performance. But you also need to be careful with those columns if they are being updated, inserted, deleted really often. Then creating index are really bad practice because they will only kill the performance. Or you can do what? For example, when you create stored procedure, when you write a stored procedure, you can create a temp table, select, insert into that temp table whatever you want to insert, and then with a filter, for example, you insert from the source. And there is like several multiple update statements. You do the updates and then create the index there on that temporary table and then use it in your join for further, like for later steps. If you after DML functions, you see that only there is like select functions. You want to use that temporary table. Then right before that select functions, you can create the index on those tables, so they can give better performance. For example, you want to use them in join and with the workloads to insert data from that temp table into something else, maybe into a temp table or the destination table. Yeah. Okay. And can you go to the YouTube so you can exactly see? Now it takes time. We're not gonna have enough time to include the SSIS performance tuning. So just write covering index there. Yeah, open that one first.
Hi guys, this is Shrikant. In this session, we are going to talk about
Play.
index. We are asked me here the question. Index is the data. Okay.
This is his demo. We just wait. Right there. Can start.
Then I can see here there are 4 columns, right? Out of the 4, I have created index on 2 columns.
Again, value.
Correct? Let's say I'm just writing select star from
But in a word clause, we put idea.
hash test where id is equal to 1. Let's say any random data, and value is equal to, let's say, this value. Okay, so what will happen if I execute this query? What will happen? I'm not executing.
Execute
What
it,
will
come
happen?
on.
So previously hash test will be executed, applied on the 2 1.
You see?
Two important
Lookup.
thing here, right?
So the bad thing is lookup. It's gonna kill the performance.
Because he's selecting 4 columns.
Yes, but he has index only on
On
2
two.
of
Two
them.
column, yes.
So in order to
So
Con-
the ID and value.
convert this index
You will
seek
see
and
that
lookup
there
into
is
one
an
index
index
seek,
seek
you need
on
covering
non-cluster
index,
index.
which will
Along
also
with
include
that,
all
there
the
is
columns in
something
your
called as the
select
RID
statement.
lookup.
So can you
If
fast
there is
forward?
something called, there is a to
Is he gonna use the include?
Yes, or include or
so because of
composite
these
index.
2
How? Just
column,
create
the
index
RID
on
lookup
one by
is
one.
On
count.
4.
there.
Yes. You can create covering index with 2 ways. One is composite
And
index
the
syntax or
value
include keyword.
Right?
He's using
These are the
include.
2 columns which I have
Can
added
you fast
in,
forward?
but so
Include
modification,
all of them.
100%
Oh, you
cost
see now
for
he
this
executes,
query,
you see?
and it is just
The
index
execution
seek.
plan, just
This is
seek index.
Fabulous, you know. This is really,
It
really
says
good.
fabulous.
Now,
It
if you
must
see
be
here, the
fabulous.
50% cost
Okay,
of this
now
query
you can
has
stop. Okay, now remember, guys, please, what's covering index? You should tell me easily. Okay, now we will go to the SSIS. I think that's kind of enough. You just need the minimum mention what
Like
you're doing.
half hour talk.
Yeah.
It's you will be talking like fast. I just repeated some stuff, so it took
Oh, we're
some
gonna
time.
repeat.
Oh, yeah.
Can we like talk for them? They ask about one thing, right? But it kind of transitions like to talk about something
Yes,
they didn't ask.
If you
Still
know
talk about it,
anything, just keep talking,
even
because
if they didn't ask about
most
it.
of the time that will be their next question. They will be lost, like you will answer their next question most of the time, and then they will just skip that part.
Just talk and then they
Yeah,
stop.
you don't wait till they ask it, because it sounds kind of, it will give them impression that you are weak or not that good, like you don't know the linkage between the
Yeah.
stuff. So if you tell them, you can easily, for example, one interview they say, okay, what kind of he said, what was that? Okay, the question was, tell me about control flow. Then I start talking about control flow, what kind
Data
of
flow.
tasks we have there. No, and then containers, and I give like good introduction to the containers one by one. Like,
Yes.
and then next question, he said, "Oh, that was my next question." He skipped that part, so you can skip. You can force them to skip that part. Okay, now go to the SSIS.
Just don't shut up.
Yes, just talk, guys. But make sense. Don't say something very stupid. If you're not sure, just
Shut up.
say no. You can. If you really wanna speak, say like, if it's cannot, say can. La la la la. Like, make them feel like confused. Did you say can or
Or can.
cannot?
It can.
Yes, it can. I mean, you mean cannot? You check that on the internet, you know. And then I said cannot or can.
Can.
Okay, just open one package there.
Any?
Yes. I will be also explaining little bit about the performance tuning, guys, during the marketing process, because they ask a lot. I can like show one by one specifically, Now if I really want to show you, but I see you already like forgetting the older stuff. Like one by one, how the covering index. We already watched how the index
That's
affect
true,
the
yes,
performance.
yes.
You remember?
Yeah.
You can just review them too. Index is kind of, you can talk 1 day, 2 days about the index themselves. If they ask like question about performance, you can take it to the indexing and then you talk like 2 hours, 3 hours about the indexing itself. Did you open any package?
Yeah,
And-
it's you open like SSRS.
Yes, also, if you really want to improve your performance, query performance tuning answer, you just Google or write to YouTube. There's like a lot of different stuff, but the general we just mentioned.
Are you recording?
You-
I mean,
They may also say like you may also mention about weight statistics. What's weight statistics? I just didn't want to kind of load too much into your brain. Weight statistics is like behind the scene. Before it's like the waiting time that the SQL query optimizer spends between doing the same thing. If you tell it to do same thing multiple times, it takes some time to after it's finished first step. Again, you're asking him to do that step again, like second time. There's like time between finish and start of the second step, but both of them are same steps. So the wait time is like the waiting between the end and start of the next. Between two like operations, even if they are identical, it takes some time to finish and start the second operation. That time also you can decrease, so it will give very fast performance. So there's like a lot of things you can mention, but whatever I mentioned, like 50% is enough usually. But if you are recording, just whatever I just mentioned, you can Google one by one them, so you can have better understanding. Okay, the SSIS package tuning you can like start with differently, but the first thing that knowing the SQL Server performance tuning is the first answer for SSIS tuning.
Start talking about SQL.
Yes. Why? Because if you drag and drop data flow, what we have there, source, transformation,
Source and
destination.
destination.
And the source is most of the time what?
All ADB.
All ADB or regular SQL
SQL database.
tables. When you bring data from the SQL server in the source, what we use usually? The SQL command. That's the part you start tuning the SSIS. That's the main part. You can mostly talk about that part. How? For example, don't use asynchronous if you don't have to operations like sort, aggregates. Yes. Why? You can easily do them in your SQL query. Do it. Sort like order by whatever column you wanna do.
Bring it.
And aggregates like some stuff, do it in your query. Don't do it here because they're gonna block the flow of the data in your SSIS. It's very good thing that you got to mention when they ask like how do you deal with the ETL creation. Here, second thing is lookup. If you open the lookup, also can you open the data source? I mean the
this one.
yeah, OLADB source. No, actually cancel that one. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. Another thing about the source, actually, let me first mention it. For example, if it's in a SQL Server database, use SQL Server source or SQL Server destination.
Yeah.
If you go there, we should have SQL Server destination. You see on the bottom. That's what you use it.
Don't let it guess.
Yes, it's like specially for that. Or if it's like in Oracle, then there's like third party, very famous, even the Microsoft approved a Tunit connector. You can download, add it. It will be very fast, like 30 up to 30 times, something like that. It will be faster. Or if you don't do any transformations, then use what? Bulk insert task. rather than data flow task.
Mhm.
Why? Because it gives very fast insertion. It will do very fast insertion.
Dump all the
Yeah,
data.
just dump it into the from flat file or from wherever you want
SQL.
into the SQL. Yes. If you don't do, if you not required to apply any business requirement rules into your with your transformation into your data flow, then use bulk insert
Yes.
and don't use blocking as I mentioned, like already command or sort or
Data
others.
conversion.
The other use staging phase and then use that's another thing. And in lookup, if you open the lookup, is it opening? Maybe we need to bring data. Just select some data from any table. Select star from any table.
The one you have in the Word file is good.
Yes.
You split it into 3 things: source, middle stage, and destination.
Yes. One by one. Also, I will also mention some other stuff that you can mention. And okay, wait. Now, can you go to the control flow? You remember, if you right-click control flow, there, properties. There should be max concurrent execution. You see, we learned that's
Yes.
another thing that can improve your ETL process.
Mhm.
And there is also
Engine print.
yes, and no, that should be fine there. Can you go to the data flow? Right-click data property. Another thing is, can you go to the bottom, miscellaneous? Is there miscellaneous? Yes, right there. You see there is like default buffer, max rows, default buffer size.
Mhm.
That's what you can use based on what the environment you are working with. And it will also improve the performance really makes it really faster. Why? Because this is like default max row. It's the main thing here is default buffer size. By default, they give this really big one. Like it's like actually it's in bytes. I think it will be like 10 KB actually. So that means what? That means in a source when it reads data, it will use 10 dBs in a source server. 10 dBs. This much memory, like a RAM. This much RAM of the temporary server. It will use, and then if you leave it as a default, then it might not be enough, or it might be way more than what you need. So try to change it, so it will also improve the performance till you find the optimal one. It all depends on what kind of source you have. You're trying to bring data, how big the data size, the row size, how big they are. You can change the default buffer max rows based on that. How? If you know the approximate row size in the source, row size, like in bytes, kilobytes, then you can divide this buffer size into the rows, and like you can tell exactly how many rows fits into this default buffer size.
How would you usually know this size? Like
You just change one by one, and
Oh.
you need to know the size of your rows.
Mhm.
That max row size comes from the column size in your source. You got it? This default buffer size, it also comes how big data you're trying to pull from the source. That also depends on that.
Does it generate by itself when we change the default?
No,
buffer?
default is like this always.
Okay.
You need to change it so you can improve the performance based on, depending on the size of data you're trying to pull from the source and the size of the columns, each column there. So you can know exactly one row can be approximately, or at least approximately, how big one row data.
So okay, I changed here. How do I know if it's like
You run it.
run
You
and
can
see.
put like execute time start.
Mhm.
You can log. There's already start time and end time where
Okay.
system error. If there is not, you can use like in execute SQL task select get date, and at the end select get date. You can log each. You can put those get dates into one variable. Second variable, the end one, and you can write them to the table, like history table, and then you can see.
So you
There
just
is like
basically
many
sit there and
ways.
play with it.
You
We
just
have 3 times.
that's what you will have a time. Why? Because if you have to work with a table which has like 100 million rows. Your task is to create ETL package to pull data from that. Yes. If you don't do your task, what they gonna do? They're gonna kick your ass. Yes. You're gonna quit or they're gonna fire you. Yes. In order to make it work, you need to sit and play around with it. That's what you're gonna do actually to improve the performance. That's your job. Otherwise, if everything is like pretty straightforward, they don't need you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, I mean, these two stuff, and next one is what else? Go to the lookup. For example, for each transformation, you can tell something. Like for lookup, you can use full cache, you see, partial cache, no cache. Full cache means what? It will be the best choice if you have unique values in the column that you are trying to compare, looking up. Like from the source, you select the ID, and then from the destination, you trying to compare, look up those IDs. If those source IDs are unique, like uniqueness is highest at least, then use full cache. Why? Full cache means it will go to the destination, brings everything, whatever you selected in your select statement, in the connection part, it will bring, keeps in the cache. So it doesn't, for example, ID 1, first one, comes to the cache, finds it, and then second one comes to the 2 ID, comes, checks if it's there, it will take it. Everyone is like changing every read. If we don't do full cache, if we do partial cache or no cache, what it's gonna do? The no cache is gonna do what? It will go to the source for every lookup value. For example, it will first one is 1, yes, comes, there's no cache, goes, opens connection to the destination wherever we want to look it up, checks it from the whole table and closes it, and then again goes to the second value. Second value is again 2, comes, goes, takes time for connection, open and close. Yes. But if you have values, duplicate values, you wanna look up in the destination, 1 and then several 1s and then 2 and then several 2s, something like that. In that case, partial cache is the like the most optimal. Why? It goes to partial cache. What it does? 1 comes, checks in the destination. It will bring that if it finds, keeps only that one in the cache, 1 value, and then next one comes, 1 again. Yes, comes, checks the cache. There is 1 again. It will take that 1. Doesn't bring everything like full cache. Full cache we do it because we don't have choice, because all the values are unique in the source that we want to look up in the destination. That's why we do full cache. But it might be costly to save everything from the destination in the cache, but it will make the process faster than opening and going for each row. You got it? Okay, so partial cache is optimal if there is like several duplicates. You got it? How it will, until 1 finishes, it will keep that 1 in the cache. And then 2 starts, it will check, there is no, goes and brings that 2. Something, no cache, every time goes to destination. You got it? So you need to know what kind of data you're working with. Based on that, you can optimize your SSIS package. And another thing, can you cancel that one? What else?
Does cache mode exists only in lookup transformation?
Cache, there is, I think cache destination we have even, and then cache mode. Actually, that's where I saw it, but I think you can use it somewhere else too, because there is cache destination. Can you open the size toolbar?
So just mention.
Yes. Is there records and other destinations? Can you go to the transformations?
Yeah, cache transform.
There's cache transfer. Yeah, that's what it's gonna cache also. And what else? If you go to the destination, can you drag and drop on this? First, remove the lookup. We don't need it. You got it. Yes.
Yes.
And also in the lookup, you just don't choose. Can you drag and drop the lookup? I'm sorry. Connect them. Go to the connection. You see, use a table or view. Don't do it. Use only those columns that you want to look up and want to read from the destination table. Because
Don't
it
use
will
too
kill
much
the-
logging,
Yes,
like those, right?
yes. And also here, in order to bring that data put in the cache, it takes more
Mhm.
time than only bringing those data that we need.
We need it.
Yes, do it that like that. Cancel. You can remove it. And go to the destination.
Any?
OLEDB actually. Yes. Drag and drop. Open the destination. Now you see you can talk about the data access mode, fast load. You can use there. I mean that's now if there is not any like index or constraints, then you can use the fast load, or can you keep it as a fast load. Here, if you choose any table, you can choose the same table. Now, here, this keep identity, table log, keep nulls, check constraints are very important too. Keep identity means if you tick it, it will keep the identity column values for each row as it's in the source. If you care about that, tick it. Otherwise, don't tick it because it kills the performance. So it's better if you don't care about that, if you don't care whether that's important or not, then just create that identity column along the insertion. Like when you insert data to those columns, create one identity column in the destination, it will auto-generate that identity column for you. And table log, it means whatever destination table you choose here, if you tick it, that means lock this table only for me. Hold it now only for me so I can insert this data. Don't let other updates, deletes, inserts by anybody else. I started it, let me finish. Don't let anybody else touch this table until I finish. So it will improve the
So
performance.
this will lock it for everybody on the network?
It will lock it till you finish it.
Yeah.
You got it? Okay, and then check constraints. If there is like you inserting ID column and you put a check constraint where ID should be higher than 1000 or the age column or worker's age, yes. It should be between something like 18 and 60, yes. You cannot hire underage and you don't keep older people. So you have constraint there. If you take that check constraint, it will be slower. If you don't have a constraint in the destination, don't check it, remove that, untick it. Because if you don't care about the constraints, or if you are sure that the values coming are between 18 and 60, remove that, uncheck it, even if there is constraint. Why? Because it will spend time on checking, validating each row's value before inserting in that column where the constraint is available.
If we're moving data from OLATP to OLAP, I don't think we need this because it's already validated in the source.
No, it's not only OLATP OLAP situation.
Yeah, just like an
Yes.
example of situation.
From several places it might be coming, and also it might be the package between the staging and the OLATP, something like that. Before going to directly data warehouse, you may have to do cleaning like that, something like that. You got it? And also, you are saying like in OLATP, it's like that, but I said it's just age. Age might be controlled in OLATP, but something else might not be constrained in OLATP, but it's constrained in the destination for those situations I mentioned. And also untick it. If it's most of the time that's the case, you don't have employee who is under 18 in the source. If it's not typo, source should handle those stuff. Like if the data modeler who creates that or data architect who create that database for the application as a backend application might miss that. Like he may miss that the age of the employee should be between that. So which is the case in most situations, you cannot find really good database, data modelers or good data architects. We don't have them too much, so too many. So it might be the issue, like you need to handle it anyway, even if you are sure that it was modeled really good, even if you are thinking that its source is OLATP, still like protect yourself rather than relying on somebody else. In those situations, just uncheck it if you don't need it, or if you are sure that the data meets that constraint, uncheck it because it kills the performance. Keep nulls, it's kind of somewhere between killing performance and not killing. If you really worry about the nulls, keep it. If you don't have to, don't check it. It will also affect the performance. And rows per batch, maximum insert commit size, that's another thing that you can play around. Don't keep it as default. It also depends on how many rows you are reading in each ETL execution. So if you are reading around 100,000 rows, then put it as 100,000. Don't put as default 2 billion rows, something like that. You got it? And also that rows per batch, if you change it, believe me, you need to like keep changing it one by if you find the right one, which you can find through calculations, you even pre-find, like you can be aware in advance what's gonna be the rows per batch. That's gonna give the base optimal choice. But even if you fail to do that, you can like check one by one the values changing. It will give very good performance improvement. It's gonna improve the performance too. And that fast load also, as I mentioned, that's kind of fine. And also, don't do the data conversions. Do them in the source too, and also convert, for example, from Flatfire you're reading data, and convert only those columns. If it's from Flatfire, it will be like string always, most of the time. So if you want to convert it into integer or something else, convert only those columns that you want. Yeah? And also select from the source only those columns that you want in the destination. Don't bring more than what you need or everything. And what else? Can you cancel that one? Let me see what else.
Sorting.
Use checkpoint.
That's not for performance improvement. We are talking about the performance improvement here.
Yeah, I think there is on the list in SSIS.
You can mention about that, but it's kind of good practice. It's like among good practice using checkpoints, because it may help one time only, but next time when it works, you don't have to. It will do the same thing as it has a checkpoint or not. So for best practice or how do you develop question, you can mention about checkpoints too. So you tell them that part is also, I don't have to do the previous steps since I have a checkpoint there, something like that. And what else I missed? And another thing, for example, you have a flat files, really huge data. You can easily insert that through bulk insert, or
Fast parse.
there is, you remember, I showed you import loading data from Excel or Flatfire through import way in a SSMS, Management Studio, and there was another with the data I sent through Flatfire homework, you remember? And then we used what? Bulk insert there. You remember? Insert into, like bulk insert, and then from open row set, like, you remember?
Yeah.
If the data is really huge and you don't have to apply any transformation, use once execute SQL task instead of using data flow task and flat file source and already be the destination, execute that execute SQL task inside there. Use that bulk insert statement. Just it gives really fast in performance comparing to data flow task. It will, as a batch, it will dump it into the SQL from the platform. And what else? Okay, just a reminding question. Can we use a temporary table in a size package? And if yes, what we need to do?
We can,
use it for sure.
but we have to set the property.
To basically keep the connection, we have to use that property
Yes.
to remain the same.
So what the
connection.
Can you go to your connection, right click, properties? You should remember that thing. What
Retain
one?
same connection.
Yes, this is true. That's one. That one is gonna. You can use most of the time temporary tables for your staging case. You don't have to physically
Keep it in.
keep somewhere or consume some resource. So for the way you develop is you try to make use of temporary tables, even for staging, most of the time for the staging, parse too, so it doesn't consume too much
Use it in
resource.
SQL execute.
You can use everywhere. You can create it with execute secret task,
Yes.
and in next task data flow task. And you can read from that.
From the
You can select star from that temporary table, or you can insert into in the next execute SQL task. You can use in script task everywhere you want. You just need to connect to the same. Use for all these tasks. Point them to the same connection. This connection, and then set these connections retain same same connection property to true. It will be seen everywhere. But there is only one thing. You remember we looked at the Ahad Jones and the guy's interview question case. Did we do that? I think
the lookups, or
I showed it
brought-
to him. Which one
we did the one where we looked at the data validated, we inserted it in the table. The non-validated, we inserted it in the error.
The
The first problem.
No, there we didn't. I showed to him. I think the second one.
Okay.
Yes. How do you use it? You need to. It will not be with. Okay. What's the difference? Global temporary table and local temporary table. What's the difference? Main difference.
That we can use global between other
Other connections or
Yes.
sessions.
Sessions, yes.
So if it's there, the guy who created is there still. The others also can use that global temporary table. While local one only
Available for
scope to
For
these
that session.
sessions for that user. Yes. Now if I create, can you go back to data flow task? Let's look at it. Can you drag and drop execute SQL task? Open that. Connect to the same connection. Open the SQL statement. Create table. Pound per person. And then ID name. Close it. Now insert into. Can you put go? I think we need. Yeah. Try with go. Insert into person. Values. Like 2 values or just 1 row. Okay. This is gonna create this temporary table, and we wanna use that temporary table in our data flow task. Okay. Now drag. There is data flow task. Drag and drop it there. Open that one, delete this, delete the destination actually. You can delete the source too actually, and drag and drop one OLEDB destination. I mean the
SQL server.
source, OLEDB source. We drop the source. Open that source. Now you connect to the same connection, yes? We connect. Now if you say command there, or you check from here, the tables, table or view mode, access mode. We don't see that temper table. If you see,
Command.
select command, select star,
Person.
pound person. Now okay, should throw an error. Copy the select star pound person. Cancel. Now go control flow. You may tell me you didn't execute the execute SQL task yet. Let's execute it. No, just execute SQL task. We execute, it should be there, yes? We are using same connection. But if you open, again, no. Or use SQL command mode. Paste it. Preview. No, it's not working, yes? So we need to do little cheating here. You go to the SSMS. We're gonna create global temper table in SSMS. It will be visible there only through SQL command way, and then I will show the rest. Go to the SSMS. No. No, create. Choose the same database. Create pound table pound person. No table. You missed it. ID, integer, name, whatever you put there. Insert enter. No, you can just create there actually. You don't need, yeah, you can insert, create that. Just create enough creating. If you go there, open that, use the select, SQL command, paste one more pound, preview, you see, it's visible, okay, now drag and drop one OLEDB destination, for example, or multicast, delete it, multicast, data viewer, not the mount right there. Enable data viewer, yes. Now, no, go back. Now, now there is 2 pounds, yes? But we wanna do just one pound. Open data flow task. Right click the OLEDB source. Property. Data access mode. The SQL, yes, there should be SQL. You see SQL command, 2 pounds, remove, keep
in the
it
bottom.
on the, 1 pound only. Okay, now also delay, right click it again, property, delay, validate external metadata to false, and then go to the control flow. Say right click data flow task, delay validation to true. Can you run it? Let's see if it's gonna work.
That's cheating big time.
Go back. What's?
Do we need to do the validation for the?
No. Wait. Go to the progress. Maybe different thing is thrown. Could not be.
It says OLEDB source field.
Secret. Wait. Execute. Can you go to the control flow? Did you? Yes, stop the data flow task. Did you use same metadata like create statement for both?
Yeah.
Was it 100 or 50?
50.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Create table at that person, ID and name. Can you go to the execute? Open there.
Insertion, but it's out.
Inserts there 50. Okay. Can you set that through the retain same? Okay. Okay. Go to the no. Right click property. Retain same connection. True. You see, that's the most important thing. I saw you. Yeah, I saw you already said it. Oh, go back there. Progress. No, progress. Where it says, can you copy that error? Copy.
First one.
Yes.
Google.
Yeah. No. Go and anywhere in Notepad.
Where's the notepad here?
Create on the desktop.
Open that. Okay, can you go this way? Enter. Temp table. It's because, guys, from the latest version, it doesn't show the result set for that temporary table. If now we need to use dynamic SQL, I think, in our select statement. Why? Our store procedure. Why? Because do you have 2012 still?
Yeah.
Can you open that one? Is it no? The SSI?
I don't know if it's still working.
What we're doing right now? Why don't we just use a global temporary table from the?
It's because it's more costlier than temporary.
It is.
That's why, like, it's a well to everybody. Like,
So
what
it's
if
better to cheat
multiple?
this way?
No, what if multiple person creates the same name global temporary table same time? Multiple each size package.
I'll put my name at the end of
You see, that's why it's kind of a little confusing. Right here, it should. Yeah, whatever you did, just do it here. Copy already. You can see from the class. Incarnation. Now you all should be comfortable with create, insert. If you fail that one, you will be a big time loser, guys.
I don't think anybody will suffer from that.
Yes.
Let's go. What topic is typed in with
That is, you misspelled the word.
Values.
No, I didn't mean that one. Go on, Yanko. Since it's free, let's go to it. Since we don't have to pay for that. İşleme yaptı yani. Okay, man. Короче. Okay, guys.
Shorter.
Yes, this is how you use temporary table. That's it. I mean, in new version, you need to use dynamic query and with the result set, or you need to use stored procedure, which should return result set, guys. Can you go to the Google? Open the Google.
Okay.
Right there, store procedure with result set. Result set, yes. Open the
This one?
yeah, open it. You just need to explicitly mention these columns with these data types are being returned. Otherwise, newer version, I don't know, maybe they are stupid, they didn't. You see, execute this select as well with result set. I undefined this one. If you go bottom, here, you see, execute this select as value with result set where one column value and its type is integer. That's what you need to tell explicitly, so it will get the metadata about that temp table. Otherwise, SSIS, they remove that feature in a later versions where it will automatically get the metadata from the temporary table. Now they removed it in newer version. So you need to write stored procedure or dynamic SQL like this and with this result set. Got it?
Yeah.
In newer version. So you will tell explicitly like, come on, are you blind? Its type is integer or varchar, something like that. But in 2012, it works smoothly the way we just did it. That's it. I think that should be enough for today.
For this course.
For this course, yes. The class, as a class, yes. And tomorrow we talk one by one.
Is it tomorrow
No,
or Sunday?
Sunday. Let's make it okay, Sunday. Is it Sunday or Monday? Okay, make it Monday. Is it Monday or next
In 2
one?
weeks.
Sunday is Easter. We want to celebrate.
Okay, Sunday we'll do last talking, guys, and then we will start like checking who has what, who has
nothing.
nothing, who has something. Yes, have a good night, guys.